Welcome to Personal Treasury, everyone. In today's video, we will be running through a high-level overview of the host of capabilities included in this income and expense planning tool. This should give you some insight into if this template is indeed a good match for your situation. Upon purchasing the tool, you will receive two separate versions of the file. One will be blank and for your own personal use. The other version will be an example with fake data included to allow you to orient yourself with how the model works fully filled up with data. Now, for today's purposes, I will be using the example model. Let's get right into it. Now, when we start looking at the functionality of this model, I want to break it into analyze, budget, and forecast. So really three core pillars. What we're looking at right now is what will be displayed as you open up the model, where we do have a whole host of different buttons here available to quickly navigate to different parts of the model. Let's start first with the analytical features included in here. We're going to click on this dashboard tab, which will bring us to this view to provide all of your key financial statistics. As we're looking across the page, we'll see a bunch of different metrics included in here. Let's dive into it a little bit more. As we look over here, we've got all of your core buckets for expenses, income, and ultimately how much you save, but also looking at multiple times during the year. So we have our current month, our year to date, our rest of year, and our year-end forecast. As we move over, we can see there is monthly capabilities in here to not only track in the dark blue what your actuals are, but looking forward based on recent trends, what should I be forecasting out for the rest of the year? Now, we've also got that all-important budget line too to make sure that you're living into your financial goals. We can see at the bottom here there are functionalities to be able to compare to your budget. So we can say how much have I spent on a year-to-date basis for my food and supplies compared to my budget? Am I above or below? And what percent of the budget am I at? So really allowing you to figure out, compared to the financial goalposts that I've set for myself, how am I actually doing? As we move over to the right, there are ratios available to look at as a percent of your gross income. What does your savings rate look like? But also, what's your fixed income, your fixed and discretionary expense rates? Again, expressed as a percent of gross income. These views will provide you current month, year to date, rest of year, and year end, while also providing you a view of how have I performed on a savings rate, fixed expense rate, or discretionary expense rate by month, and how do I project going forward for our future months. Coming up here, you're going to be able to instantly see what are the largest buckets that I'm spending money on across all of my expenses. There's little helpers here at the bottom that are going to provide you with the top buckets, which will match up here, but then also looking at which buckets are the most favorable or unfavorable to my budget. Or in other words, which ones are the most above or below that budget to help you really key in and try to get that spending under control. And finally, as we go down here, we'll see what is our cumulative cash balance, and as we look at future months and forecast our income and expenses, how much am I expecting to save, not only for next month, the month after that, but how much at year end, and then how much at year end the year after. And then finally, a nice pie graph to show where's my income streams coming from. This will have 5 different categories to allow you to really break out your income in a succinct manner. Again, this is an incredibly dynamic tab that's going to allow you to see all of your data in multiple views. So we can pull it up by current month, your year to date, your remainder of year, your year-end forecast, and your next year's budget. So really, this tab is all-inclusive and is highly functional. As we move over to the right, we have our year and our month. Now, what this interface allows you to do is look at your historical spending patterns as well. In this model, you can input data going all the way back to 2012 and all the way up to 2032. So there can be a large range of your financial data represented here. Of course, on each tab, there is also a YouTube tutorial button that's really going to give you insight into all the nuts and bolts of this model and give you exhaustive detail on each and every step of how to use each tab. Now, as we move to our second core element of this model, is going to be your budget. Really, this is going to allow you to set guidelines of how you want to spend your money during the year. Now, what we can see here is we have our multiple categories, our income, our expenses broken out into fixed and discretionary, and then at the end of the day, your net income or your savings amount. So really what this is going to allow you to do is input all of your money coming into your account, budget all of your money going out of your account, and then at the end of the day, how much can you expect to add to your bank account at the end of each month and then at the end of each year. So as we look at this tab, it's going to have all of your core categories in there, which you are able to customize in a separate tab. As we move over to the right, the functionality included in here allows you to very easily make a monthly or a year-end pick. As an example, if I'm in the food category, it will be starting as a blank value. If we say that I'm going to spend $450 a month on food, I'll put that in this monthly manual category and it'll populate each and every month with $450 for $5,400 at year end. If I want to say, actually, I think I'm going to spend around $7,500 in the year for my food or supplies budget, I'll type that in and it's going to populate each of the months accordingly. Now, finally with this tab, there is a little bit additional capabilities provided at the top for your salary planning. You can plan your salary on a monthly basis, or you can become a little bit more accurate and factor in the number of pay periods that you have at your specific place of employment. Now, if you're expecting a raise, you can also incorporate that by putting in the amount that you believe your salary is going to increase, and then the month that you believe that that raise is going to take effect. So we can see a 7% raise beginning in May, and if we go over here, we'll see that our monthly value starts increasing starting in May. So that is the second core element of this model. Moving over to the third one, we have our income statement and forecast tab, which is going to give you a wide-ranging view of what's your recent historicals, what's your current view, then what's your longer-term trajectory. Starting over here at the left-hand side of the page, we'll see if you've input any historicals in the model, it's going to show you your prior year actuals. As we move over to the right, we can see that there are black fonted values and then there are also blue fonted values. The black represent all of my actuals during the year. So if we're looking at this, I'm only through May of 2022. These are my actual expenses if we look at this food budget, while this blue value is going to be automatically generated by the model to show what I believe I'm going to be spending for the remainder of the year based on the most recent trends that I have. Again, as we look at this, what this tool allows you to do is really say, hey, how much have I spent on a year-to-date basis? How much can I expect for the remainder of the year based on my current spending habits? And really what that allows you to see is what should I expect to spend by the end of the year. Now, not only will you be able to see what you're projected at the end of the year for expenses for the food and supplies bucket, but as you do that process for all of your income, your fixed expenses, and your discretionary expenses, you can get a clear view of what your net income or your savings is at the end of the year. So right now, based on my actual results, and then factoring what I'm forecasting in the rest of the year based on my forecasted income and expenses, I'm expected to save $9,270 by the end of the year. As we move over here to the right, we'll see that there is also assumption pick methodology in here. So if I want to say, actually for all these blue forecast values, I believe that it's going to be more in line with my 3-month average. Again, that's going to take a 3-month average of these, and it's going to project it for the remainder of the year. So that can be used across all the different categories. Then similar to that budget tab, you can also just select a monthly manual portion, and you can set that monthly value equal to whatever you'd like. So if we want to do $450, it's going to fill in the rest of the year with $450. As we move over here to the right, we'll see that the same functionality is included for your next year if you want to do some longer term planning as well. Salary planning, as in the budget tab, is included at the top of the section. Now, those are the core 3 main elements of the model. As we look at any supplemental portions, we can see that for our categories, you can create all those on a unique basis and customize them to fit your specific needs via your fixed expenses, discretionary expenses, and your income. Again, completely customizable. Now, moving to how we actually get your personal financial data into this model, we'll go to the expense income input tab, where there is a very straightforward interface for getting your data into the model. As we read left to right, we can see that all you need to do is input the date of the transaction, a brief description, completely up to you, the transaction amount, and then from there, there's a whole host of different options that you can choose from. All of these options will tie to the categories that you created in the previous page. Again, you can create completely unique categories to whatever your financial situation is. And then finally, if you want additional insight, it will be provided here on the supplemental instructions tab, which is really going to give you a comprehensive view of a lot of the nuts and bolts of the broader model. Of course, you're always welcome to use the YouTube tutorials as well to get all the details associated with each and every tab. That concludes our high-level overview of the Personal Treasury Income and Expense Planning tool. For any additional details, feel free to look at any of the tutorial videos posted on this YouTube page, or of course looking at the Etsy posting itself. Thank you and have a great day.